Alrighty, I do believe that if everything is according to plan, then that means we should be live. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the stream. We have a lot to talk about. Holy Moses. The Dragon Ball trailer just came out. We have a lot to talk about. Broly, Frieza, Vegeta, everything in between. We're gonna have ourselves a massive community discussion. I want to go ahead and just give it a second for people to come in here. Let me know what you guys think of the trailer right now in the comment section below, because man, let me tell you something, that was just absolutely mind-blowing. If you guys enjoyed the trailer, slap a like on the video, and we're gonna have a lot to talk about here tonight. So I want to thank you all for joining me, because this is coming off directly from the trailer. So I want to go ahead and just give it a minute for everybody to sink on in, people to join. Just a quick little shout out to everybody in here. We got Mini Plays, we got Dimitri, Alpha Wolf, The Beast, we have Chef Shank. We have a lot of people in here right now. So basically what this stream is going to be about is we're going to be discussing the Dragon Ball Super movie trailer. As you guys can see, I got burnt at the beach, so lots to talk about here. So first and foremost, I want to get everyone's overall thoughts as to what they saw in the chat right now, because from what it looks like, at least 90% of the community is happy about this. There's a very small handful of people that are not too fond of this trailer, which I don't seem to understand why, but I think that as we go along, there's more, obviously we're gonna get more substance for the trailer and for the movie itself as we play along. So I want to say what up to everybody in the chat right now. Between the three fights, right, between Broly versus Goku, Broly versus Vegeta, and Broly versus Frieza, which fight are you guys most anticipated for? Let me know in the chat right now. Lots of people right now talking about Shallot and all sorts of stuff. I mean, this trailer, if anything, I would have to say broke the Dragon Ball community, because everyone right now is so excited. There are certain people that are just like, oh man, this looks like trash, but we're gonna get into that. So wow, starting things off with a fresh donation from Left Hand. Thank you so much for the $2 donation. And Left Hand had to say, was Broly created? Well, first and foremost, I do want to say, if you guys decide to donate a super chat, your questions will be answered first. So was Broly created? We saw an incubation of 3 Saiyans with one of the pods actually empty. So out of the total that were 4 there was 1 pod that was empty. So I'm not sure if Broly was created. I'm not sure if Broly you know, is going to have like the same hatred that he you know had before for Goku, which I really doubt to be the case. Shout outs to Broski for you for the $1.99 donation for saying yo. Okay, so I don't even know where to begin. This trailer was just lit on so many levels. If you guys enjoyed the trailer, slap a like on the video. Okay, so let's talk about Broly coming to Earth. Now, we all have to beg the question here as to why Broly is on Earth, what exactly he's doing on Earth, and why exactly is he engaging with Goku and Vegeta. I personally think that from what we saw, they're going to keep the concept of Broly having to be this brute, this monster at heart. I think they're going to keep that concept the same, but I think that they're going to add intelligence before he starts evolving. As an example, if you guys go to my Twitter, we see, I think there's 5 stages of Broly. There's his regular old base form, then you have his current base form, then you have his controlled black-haired Super Saiyan form from what it looks like, then you have Super Saiyan Broly, and then the final form is Super Saiyan Berserker Broly. So quick shout outs to Demetrius Carr for the $2.99 donation, saying, what was that Shallot? No, that was not Shallot. And also to Jonathan Grant for the $1.99 donation, saying, yo, do you think Goku's gonna pull UI? I don't think so. If you guys think Goku's gonna pull Ultra Instinct, let me know, because everybody seems to say, yeah, he's gonna pull UI. I don't see it happening. If it does happen, then it's gonna blow the minds of many people, including myself. Shout outs to Savage Turtle for the $5 donation and saying maybe they could use the Dragon Ball to erase Broly's memory. I don't see that. I don't see that to be the case at all. See, I'm gonna bring my friend Emish on board in just a little bit, because we're also gonna be discussing certain concepts for Broly. But first things first, I want to talk about Broly. So as he comes to Earth, I think that there is obviously a motive. In my trailer breakdown, I spoke about how Broly seems to have his own ship, and his ship looks very interesting because it looks very similar to Frieza's. Does that mean that Broly had borrowed Frieza's ship? No. Does that mean that Broly was in cahoots with Frieza? No. But I think that their ships look very similar. And the fact that Paragus has like his own little army. From what I'm guessing here, Broly is probably going to be in charge of like this little army group, like this little group of Saiyans. It's gonna be interesting to see what's going to happen with Broly and these set individuals, because I think that Broly's definitely gonna be calling the shots, and Broly's obviously being controlled. You guys can see that based on the collar he has around his neck. And we spoke about this before. Myself and Emish spoke about the connection that he may have with Frieza. And there looks like there may not be any, but damn, man. Okay, so hold on. So shoutouts to Tristan for the $4.99 donation and saying, do you think we may see a hint of Ultra Instinct Vegeta? If not, then maybe Super Saiyan Blue Evolution, as much as I hate that name. I hate the name too, Tristan. Thank you so much for donating to the channel. I would have to say Ultra Instinct Vegeta, no. We are getting Super Saiyan God Vegeta. We're getting Super Saiyan God Vegeta. That's already been confirmed. We saw little art teases of him at Comic-Con. So we are getting Super Saiyan God Vegeta. However, in terms of Ultra Instinct, that may not be the case at all. I don't think we are. JD Ultra, my man, thank you so much for the $5 donation and saying Broly base form is greater than Blue. I say yes. Merry Christmas, everyone. Love you, Alex. Thank you so much, JD. Now, Broly's base. Okay, so let's discuss Broly's base for a second, because Broly's base form was able to handle Super Saiyan Vegeta, Super Saiyan Goku. It looks like he was able to fight off against Frieza. So Broly in his, you know, controlled base-like state, it looks like he's able to handle these Saiyans with no problem. I think, I'm calling it right now, once Broly goes berserk, it's over for everybody. Did you not see the way Broly emerged from the ground? He looks just like Kale. Even though Kale was based off of him, what I really want to know is how this ties in with Kale. And a lot of people may not, you know, see the connection there. And thank you so much, God King Ratboy, for the $2 donation. Much appreciated. A lot of people may not see the connection there, but remember when Vegeta, I told you guys this in the previous live stream. Remember when Vegeta told Goku in the Tournament of Power, he told Goku specifically, he said, Kakarot, be careful, because that's what could be the true Super Saiyan form. Remember what Vegeta said. Go back and revisit the fight between Goku and Kale. When Vegeta, as he was engaging with Cabba a little bit off screen, he looked at Kakarot, he said, Goku, you know, be careful, because what she has now could be what's a true Super Saiyan form. So I think that that particular scene that we saw with Kale having to be uncontrollable, having to see the way, you know, she reacted to Goku and everybody else at the tournament, I think that somehow is going to connect to Broly. Now, how is this going to connect to Broly? They need to explain that concept of what the true Super Saiyan form actually is. That was already introduced during the Tournament of Power, and I think they need to ultimately quantify how strong Broly is, because looking at him right now, he's going to be an absolute brute force. And I want to thank Nicholas Horton for the $2 donation and saying, hi Alex, just watched the movie trailer. It was incredible, and I want to say thank you so much for that. Now, I think that what they need to do is they need to explain the concept as to why in the world Broly is this strong. If you guys agree with me that they need to start explaining stuff, slap a like on the video, because it's logics here. You need to explain how Broly is able to contest against Goku and Vegeta now after the Tournament of Power. And by the way, I'm going to have my moderators link you guys my Discord, because we're going to be talking about this on Discord as soon as we're done with this live stream. So if you guys want to come with me and talk with me and everybody else on Discord, I will leave my Discord link in the description box and in the comments section. So I encourage you guys to come along, join my Discord, because we're going to be debating, we're going to be discussing, we're going to be talking about lots of stuff. Now, going back to, because a couple of people asked about the concept of Kale. Is she going to be in the movie? No, I don't think so. However, what Goku and Vegeta need to do is they need to reference that fight with Kale, because Kale at that given point, remember, even though a lot of us disagree with Kale having to simply walk through Goku's blue Kamehameha, she did that, you know? So I think that as Broly transforms, as Broly progresses, what Goku and Vegeta need to reminisce on was Kale. They need to go back and say, Kakarot, remember that Saiyan? The one that we fought? Her name was Kale? It's just like that. It looks like he has that kind of ability or power to stand up against two Super Saiyan Blues. So, ultimately enough, if Kale can do it, why not Broly? And Broly's going to be upscaled way, way higher than Kale, so you can expect that. However, let's talk about Frieza. Everybody lost their minds when we saw Broly and Frieza. Now, we're going to see Golden Frieza. I'm happy. I'm so happy about that because I feel like everything that, you know, has brought us to the dance here, everything that, you know, got us to the ball now with Broly, Goku, Vegeta, Frieza, it all ties in together. Frieza was the one that destroyed Planet Vegeta, so maybe Paragus and Broly hold on to that lineage. Maybe they hold on to that concept of, you know, the tradition of their people, and when they find out, yo, Frieza is, you know, is doing whatever with, you know, so-and-so, you know, Goku and Vegeta, I think that what Paragus and Broly's incentive need to be is the fact that, okay, wait a minute, so if these two Saiyans are working alongside the very person that destroyed our planet, they need to go too. Because I can see a story to where Paragus and Broly are just trying to make things right. They're trying to, like, patch up all the things that happened with their planet being destroyed. I can see Frieza being like, oh yeah, by the way, that was me. I destroyed your planet. And then I could see it to where Broly and Paragus have the incentive to destroy Frieza, but I could see Goku and Vegeta stepping in and saying, yo, you can't do that. He hasn't done anything now. It's like, you know, and that's where the confliction comes, because as much as you would hate to see Goku and Vegeta defend Frieza, Frieza didn't do anything wrong in that case. So I can see that fight going down in this case. Big shout outs to Dimitris for the $2 donation and saying, hope Vegeta doesn't get trashed. I want him to win. Me too. I want to see Vegeta kick some ass as well. Trust me on that. And shout outs to Leo for the $5 donation and saying too soon for MUI. It should be used sparingly, or it should be loose with control, predictable, and lazy writing. Yes, I agree. I don't think that they should have Master Ultra Instinct, because if you think about it, if Mastered Ultra Instinct were to be introduced in this film, or reintroduced in this film, Broly's dead. You cannot sit there and argue with me right now and tell me that this version of Broly could beat Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku. It's not happening. If somehow Goku gets beat down and all of a sudden you hear dun 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 and his hair starts to spike up and stuff and we see him evolve, Broly's done. I'm sorry, Broly is done. However, I don't think we're gonna see Mastered Ultra Instinct happen, because I think, like you said, to evolve the character standpoint of Goku, Vegeta, Frieza, they need to beat him in a different way. Unless, of course, we get a huge swerve and Broly ends up winning, just like Thanos won in Infinity War. How crazy would that be? How crazy would it be if by the end of this movie, the villain actually wins? You know what I'm saying? Like that, like not to the extent to where he kills them, but to where he beats them but walks away. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people want to see Broly become the good guy. A lot of people want to see Broly become, you know, a Z fighter. No, I don't think that's going to be the case. He's obviously going to be restrained from that device, but I think whatever happens with him and Goku, because we see Broly in this, you know, molten hot crater, and then as he emerges, you see the eyes, and you see, you know, just the mass of Broly emerge, and as he starts powering up, Goku's like, yo, he's getting stronger, like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? And I also want to thank JD again for the $5 donation and saying, looks like Frieza will be Broly's first victim. Any idea who the mystery Saiyan with the tail is? Okay, so we have a lot of speculation as to who these Saiyans are, and they could be anybody. And I want you guys to let me know in the comment section as to who you guys believe that you think they are, because we see, from what assumingly it looks like, we see Paragus and Broly. It looks like they came across like this giant Saiyan space pod. It looks like we see like the two hands that touch each other. We see a big hand and we see a little hand. It was brought up to me by my friend Danny, who's in the server, that perhaps maybe that was Bardock and Goku. Now, there was a manga released not too long ago. I think it was Minus. I'm not entirely sure. It was Gine and Bardock watching Goku get on the Saiyan space pod as he went to Earth. But then it ultimately creates debate in saying, well, didn't Grandpa Gohan or didn't Gohan find Goku naked in the forest or whatever the case may be? They can easily retcon that to where he arrived in his Saiyan armor. I mean, they can always change that up. But I think that that big hand that you saw and that little hand that was touching it, it could be Bardock and Goku when Bardock said his goodbyes to Goku. Because remember, we are going to get flashbacks to Bardock and other, you know, parts of the story there, to where they're going to be referencing, you know, the history of the Saiyans, and that's what this movie is going to be about. Thank you so much, God King Ratboy, again, for the $2 donation and saying Kayla's Broly's sister. She's in the room as a baby too. That would be mind-blowing. That would be crazy. Demetrius, thank you so much for the $1.99 donation. I appreciate that. But listen, all in all, if you guys are excited about this movie, slap a like, because I think that this movie is going to be very good in terms of animation, in terms of art style. You just have to give this movie a chance, because we just saw the first ever trailer. There is no other trailer aside from what we saw today. And what I really enjoy is, did you guys see the way Broly came after Vegeta first? Like, as soon as Paragus said, Broly, go! You know, Broly just, like, he went in there, but he didn't go after Goku. He went after Vegeta. So I'm like, all right, I like that, because as Vegeta's fighting him, you see him smirk, he's smiling, and then, you know, Broly just clotheslines him through the rocks and stuff. It's insane. So I think that the way they're going to carry this out is going to be crazy. And I'm actually kind of happy that he's fighting Vegeta first, then Goku. Demetrius, thank you so much for the $2 donation and saying, I think Broly has a kid or kids. Holy shit, Broly with kids. Broly with kids. Broly with kids, oh my god. No, I don't think so. If you guys think the opposite, let me know. Broly having kids, oh my god, that would be different. It'd be unique, but it'll be kind of crazy. Thank you so much again to Matt Blue for the $4.99 donation. What's up with the 99 cents, by the way? And also Leo, the baby hand has the same Broly wristband. Yes, it does. It does. But at the same time, like I said, that's why I said it could be. It could be Paragus and Broly. It could be Broly and some other kids. We don't know for sure. But I think that what's going to unfold is we're going to learn as to where Broly's powers come from and what makes him so barbaric in nature. Because what's understood about this film is Broly's going to be very intelligent. Broly's going to retain memory, and he's going to be very intelligent as he's in his suppressed form. After he continuously transforms, he's gonna fucking lose his mind. And we see that in the trailer as he's attacking them. So, who knows? I'm gonna go on ahead and get my friend Emish on here so we can go on ahead and discuss this together, because there's just so much to talk about right now that if you think about the concept, there's just a lot. There's like a lot to cover and whatnot. So, let me see if I can go on ahead and get him in here. Everyone seems to be excited on seeing Vegeta versus Broly. But what I want to know from you guys is, do you guys believe that Vegeta is going to get shafted? Here's the thing, right? So Vegeta is going to have Super Saiyan God. Alright, give me a second so I can go ahead and adjust this.
I can't hear you.
Alright, let me see. Inputs, outputs, inputs. Alright. Alright, you got me? Okay, there we go. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it's my boy, Emish is live. Bro, what did you think about all of this? Because there's a lot to talk about. Quickly, I want to give a shout out to Sage for the $2 donation saying Broly and Kale went berserk in bed. We got Sensu Bean Cartel, thank you so much for the donation and saying, just wanted to say thank you for inspiring me to make my growing channel, and I would love to feature you someday. Keep it up, man. Yo, hit me up on Twitter or Discord, man, and let's talk about some stuff. So thank you so much for that. And also Leo for the $2 donation and saying a clone of Yamoshi. Okay, so listen. There, a lot of people are discussing a lot of different things right now. Like, first and foremost, right? Seeing how Broly is fighting off not just Goku, Vegeta, but also Frieza. What do you think about like the concept of Broly not working with Frieza, but more or less fighting against them? Because a lot of people are making the assumption and saying that perhaps he learns that Frieza was the one that destroyed his planet, so he's coming after him or something along those lines. Because there needs to be some sort of like a you know, like instigation between the two, like maybe Paragus and Frieza get into it, maybe Broly and Frieza get into it. But like, how do you feel about not just seeing Broly fight Goku and Vegeta, but also fighting Frieza as well? And keep in mind, Golden Frieza isn't going to be in the film too, so that's completely different as well.
That's good to see. I think Paragus is twisting Broly. Ultimately.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's like Broly finds out what happened. Maybe Paragus tells him what happened with Frieza and stuff like that. That's why they showcase like this backstory. Like we talked about in our last stream where we said maybe a portion of the movie will be based on the backstory, and that's pretty relevant and it's very important. So that way it sets up the tone for the rest of the movie. You know what I'm saying? And it gives us a lot of things to talk about, both in theater. It keeps everybody's eyes on the screen. Everybody's just like really paying a lot of attention to the actual movie, to the script, to the dialogue and everything, until later on, that's when we can start saying, holy shit, oh, you know, it's getting crazy and all this other stuff. So that's what makes a great movie, in my opinion, at least for an anime. So with that in mind, I think that Paragus might ultimately end up twisting and using Broly's anger towards everyone after he finds out what happened. And
So you think it's
is
Paragus,
gonna,
right?
it's kind of like the first movie in a way, the first Broly movie. In essence, it's not the same exact story though, but the concept is the same. Why else would Broly have that potential device that may be used to control Broly, for example, right? Like there've been scans that have showcased that, okay, well, Paragus is pretty relevant. He's pretty. He has a quote unquote secret, right? So Paragus may not even be his actual biological father, so to speak. And if that's the case, it would make sense as to why he would want to twist someone who isn't his begotten son, and use his level of power for his own means, you know, to relay his own sense of justice. So pretty interesting.
Let us know in the comment section right now if you guys agree with what Emish had said with Broly being under the control of Paragus. Maybe Paragus is using Broly since he knows. Thank you so much, Void Entertainment, for the $5 donation, and also thank you so much, Matt Blue, for the $2 donation and saying, I really do think Broly might kill Frieza. We're gonna get into all of that in a bit, but touching up on what you just said, I think that, yes, I think that Paragus is going to be behind Broly's control. And the reason for that is because if you guys go to my Twitter, we see Paragus's sketches. We see like little bits of art from him, and he's holding this little device, right? It's like a clickable device. I'm sure you've seen it as well, Hamish. He's holding onto this thing. It's strapped onto his waist, so he's carrying it with him. Unlike in the previous movie, movie 8, he had like this arm device, so he had to like, you know, use it all the time, whatever. There's no like arm, you know, device or band. It's like this little like clicker thing, right? So I think that with Paragus using Broly to that extent, Paragus is going to order Broly to attack, but I think that you could be onto something with Paragus controlling him. But what I want to ask you and everybody else watching this is, if Paragus is the one behind this, what is the motive? Is it to destroy all the Saiyans? Is it to perhaps gain something from this? Is it perhaps to, you know, have like some sort of like a hidden agenda that he only wants that maybe Broly doesn't know about? What do you think Paragus is doing behind the scenes that probably not even Broly's aware of?
Paragus is doing behind the scenes that Broly is not aware of.
Yeah, because why would he be controlling him and using him to do something like this if there's not an agenda behind what he's trying to do? As an example, in the first film, he wanted to, you know, destroy Vegeta and Goku and everybody, and then he wanted to rebuild the Saiyan world, and you know, he wanted to, you know, get revenge or whatever. So do you think that that's kind of like the same thing here, to where he's trying to do the same thing to where they want to be like the last remaining Saiyans, or maybe he's recruiting and they say no? Like, what are your thoughts behind that? And also big shout outs to Commander Jor. Thank you, man. Broly is one of Beerus's okay, Jor said that Broly is the one that Beerus prophesized about, which we're gonna get into later. But like, what do you think about all this?
Well, I mean, what's cool about the first movie, the first Broly movie, is that Broly is portrayed to be Paragus's biological son. And he was actually pleading with King Vegeta not to kill him. You know, please, he's just a child. He can grow up to be a great warrior. Right. And ironically enough, you hear Frieza saying that in this trailer, in the English dub at least, right? He's like, well, Subarashi, you know, he's like a magnificent power level. His power level is insane. Right. So we have that. And then I think the idea in this movie is that, let's just say he's not his biological son this time around. Right. I think it would just be very plain and simple at this point. It's some kind of domination. Paragus's character, even in the original movie, has always been portrayed to be a very salty kind of character. And what I mean by salty is that upset that he was being someone who was being ruled over, someone that was being ridiculed in some way, shape, or form. In the first movie, he despised King Vegeta. Yeah. In this movie, perhaps he despises Frieza. Maybe, you know, and that's why maybe he learns,
because it makes sense as to why they would want Frieza dead, because it's like, yo, you were the one that did this. You did this. You destroyed our planet. Nobody asked for this. You did it.
Well, I don't think he's doing it for justice, though. So don't.
No, of course not. Of course not. Maybe.
Yeah. I just think he's just like, now, especially that Frieza's back, he's like, wait a minute, hold on. This guy gotta go. You know what I'm saying? And he thinks his sense of justice is superior to anybody else's. He thinks he's doing the right thing. It's kind of like Zamasu in a way. And I don't want to compare Paragus to Zamasu directly, but Zamasu's quote-unquote sense of justice is pretty subjective.
It was very warped, yeah.
Yeah, so I would say it's something along the lines of that. It seems like it's Paragus's character. He doesn't seem very powerful. He doesn't seem like
absolutely not. Shout-outs to Void Entertainment for another $5 donation and saying Paragus wants the Frieza Force. Wanting the Frieza Force, maybe wanting a similar army to the Frieza Force.
If he has Broly? I mean, if he has Broly, he doesn't need the Frieza Force.
Yeah. I mean, that goes back to Earth has, you know, Goku, and, you know, I guess Paragus has Broly, but at the same time, what you just said, it really contradicts the nature of why they're there in the first place then, because it's like you specifically came to Earth. You didn't just so happen to have stumbled upon Earth. You came to Earth. We saw that in the trailer. This ship is moving around.
Maybe he gets information from Frieza after whooping his ass.
But then why? Then why would Broly engage with Frieza? Or maybe why would they end up engaging with Frieza if Frieza's the one that provided that information?
Because they beat it out of Frieza.
They beat it out of Frieza. So wait a minute. So you think that Frieza comes to Earth for help? Is that what you're suggesting?
I don't know about. Yeah, I'm not sure about all of that helping stuff. I'm just saying that Frieza, it's kind of in his nature to pass the buck, hot potato. So I would say that he'll probably just pass it and say, well, there's.
Right.
I can't really give you specifics because it's pretty vague the way the trailer was portrayed. But you look at the way Super ended, and it actually starts off, even though they showcase like Goku and Vegeta coming in face-to-face with Broly, the English dub, for example, says you have Goku and Vegeta saying that must be the guy.
Yeah, that must be the guy.
I'm assuming with that in mind, if you want to take, I haven't seen the Japanese one, I don't know what was said word for word, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But if you want to consider what the English dub was saying, then it might seem like, yes, somebody told Goku and Vegeta about this alleged warrior, Broly, or somebody, okay? And because they said that must be the guy. They didn't know his name specifically. And then what we see is we see Paragus all of a saying, go Broly. And he's just like, all right, So it's either A, Frieza must have reached out and probably told them or something like that, or B, Whis. I mean, Whis is pretty much.
I think if anybody would know, it would probably be Whis. Whis seems like the type of person that would know about these things. High Smoker, thank you so much for the $1.99 donation and saying they either have to get UI or Fusion to beat him, or maybe both. We're gonna touch up on that in a little bit, but I think they obviously know. So I think maybe it's Frieza. Maybe Frieza arrives and he's like, hey, by the way, so there's this person that is wreaking havoc, or maybe somebody wants to meet you and he's a very powerful adversary, or maybe an opponent. He's a Saiyan. And what's interesting is the English dub was like, we see Vegeta, he's like, wow, what a powerful Saiyan. It's like, and by the end of the trailer, Goku goes on to state, wow, like, he keeps getting stronger. So that's what's going to make Broly, I think, so dangerous, is the fact that by the end of this trailer, we see him engaging against Blue Goku while transforming into his legendary Super Saiyan form, or Super Saiyan Berserker form, whatever it is you want to call it. And it's a huge throwback to the whole Kale stuff, because, as I said before, if you guys thought it was going to be brutal with Kale, wait until you see what happens with Broly. And it's not that far off, but then we even asked ourselves in our Discord as to what we thought was going to happen. Again, if you guys want to join our Discord is located in the description. You guys can simply come on in and join us. We're going to be debating this all night. We're going to be talking about this all night. Commander Jor, $2 donation. Thank you, bro, and saying, Frieza tells Paragus about the Dragon Balls to use. All right, I want to touch up on something that Jor said. Jor brought this up in our Discord. Commander Jor said in our Discord that he believes that Broly is the Saiyan that Beerus prophesized about. I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think that Broly is the person that Beerus dreamt about. However, how is it that you feel about this, and how is it that everybody else feels about this? And the fact that if Broly is supposed to be connected to this prophecy, to this ancient Saiyan lore, he's a brute. He possibly comes from that timeline or that era to where the Saiyans were vastly different. He obviously has a Super Saiyan form, but unlike our guys, nobody else has a Berserker form. Ironically enough, just him and Kale. So, do you think that this has anything to do with Beerus' prophecy tying back to Battle of Gods, especially now that we're going to see Super Saiyan God in action? Or do you think that has no connection in whatsoever?
I personally, my first impression would be to say that no. There's no direct correlation, because because we got information about Yamoshi. And there's two major differences. One, the first difference is when you look at Battle Gods, the movie, versus the anime. Yamoshi, or a warrior, he's not named in these movies, nor is he named in the actual anime, but we get information around the time Aniraza was introduced about Yamoshi. So around that time, basically, in the actual Battle Gods movie, Yamoshi, or this warrior, he and a group of other people, basically, they tried to fight off these Saiyans, and they basically poured their hearts into him. And in the movie, he became an actual god, right? And then even after becoming a god, he died. He lost against these Saiyans. In the anime, he never became an actual Super Saiyan god. It's he and his friend and his friends fought off and rebelled against the other Saiyans, the Savage Saiyans, so on and so forth. And he became a legend. He became a god through legend
and disappeared
because he never And basically, it was prophesized about in the Namekian Book of Legends. That's how Shenron knows about it, because obviously Shenron was created by that.
Yeah.
So that's why he knows about that. So Yamoshi became an actual god through legend, through his legend, and through his story, and that legend manifested itself into Goku and became a reality, thus giving birth to the actual and legitimate physical embodiment of the first Super Saiyan god, that being Goku.
Right.
So Beerus fought a Super Saiyan god who was Goku, and that's how Dragon Ball Super was born for the most part.
Right.
So we're well beyond that. We're already at the point in time where Goku is literally steps within becoming an actual god in terms of raw power. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think Beerus wants to fight the Super Saiyan God Goku anymore. He wants to fight someone who might be on a comparative level to him.
Absolutely.
Which would be Goku at this point, at least. Well, not yet, but over the course of time, hopefully. That's the idea. That's what it seems like.
Right. Big shout outs to Garcia Millard for the $5 donation and saying maybe Broly was abandoned as a child, or example, like sent off to a distant planet. Broly was found by Paragus and became so powerful and crazy. Maybe due to the influence by Paragus, that could be. And thank you also so much to Matt Blue for the $2 donation and saying Jocko told him that Frieza was dead, maybe. See, there's a lot of confliction. I think that Jocko is going to be involved as well, because Jocko is he's a part of the Galactic Patrol. So I think that he's going to basically have like that incentive in saying, yo, listen, guys, there's like this dude, he's on his way here, we don't know anything about him, but he's dangerous. But going back to what Garcia said about the concept of Broly being found by Paragus, do you think that's too far off? Because that kind of ties in with what you just said about Broly not being directly related to Paragus, if that's going to be like the direction they go in. So let's say he is found as a baby, because we see these, like I said before, we see these incubation pods, and we see like these babies in there, and one of them is empty. So do you think that maybe perhaps Broly was an experiment, or Broly was found? What do you think the connection is from Broly as a kid growing up? Because there's lots of lore going back to like the ancient Saiyans. We see like Saiyans wearing like their traditional armor before Frieza. We see Saiyan space pods. We see babies. We see Saiyan babies with tails. So how do you piece all this together in your opinion?
I mean, there's three. Actually, they show 3 pods. So
they showed 4. Out of the 4, one of them was empty.
Oh yeah, there is 4. Yeah, there is 4. Yeah, and so there's 1 that's empty, and there's 3 that's basically, because I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah,
there's
we're almost at 400 likes, guys. Let's get there together.
Yeah. 1 on the left, 1 all the way in the back, and 1 all the way on the right side.
All the way in the front.
So,
yep.
I don't know. I don't want to say it's experimentation. I just feel like it's a modern version. I mean, it's definitely possible. So I'm not dismissing the idea to the fandom. So it's definitely possible, yes. But I would say that if anything, it could just be a modern version of what the space pods look like. I mean, for the babies, for the infants. Right. Because like I said, this is updated and totally different character designs, concepts, everything in between. It could just be that. And the Saiyans over time, they basically pillaged planets, and they were able to overcome and grasp technology and stuff like that. Was part of what Frieza did in terms of how he used the Saiyans and stuff like that. That's how they were able to get these space pods and stuff like that, and able to travel from planet to planet.
I agree.
It's all part of history. It's all there. So I would say, if anything, that's what that is. But real quick though, I have a surprise for you. So just check DMs on Discord.
Okay. I also want to touch up on Super Saiyan God, because a lot of us seem to be very, very pleased that Super Saiyan God is in the film. I'm very excited. I'm sure a lot of people are as well. Do you think Super Saiyan God is just going to get bodied? Because here's the thing, guys. We're not just getting Super Saiyan God Goku. We're getting Super Saiyan God Vegeta. That is such a big thing. But the only letdown is Super Saiyan God Vegeta is going to get thrashed. Why? Because obviously they have a stronger form. They have blue. They can always use blue as an advantage. It sucks seeing them introduce Super Saiyan God Vegeta in a moment to where he's ultimately going to get bodied. Would I like to see Super Saiyan God Vegeta body Super Saiyan Broly? Hell yeah. But once Broly goes berserk, and once he transforms into that giant Arnold Schwarzenegger form, it's over for everybody on the field. Unless they dive into something more, something new. So what are your thoughts on not just seeing Super Saiyan God Goku, but Super Saiyan God Vegeta? But also, guys, if you guys are excited to see Super Saiyan God Vegeta, slap a like, because when I saw that, I lost my shit, because the only time we ever had Super Saiyan God Vegeta was in the manga. So how do you feel about that personally?
I think it's exciting. I think visually it's, fans want to see it. People want to see Super Saiyan God Vegeta. He does have access to that power. I mean, he didn't do the ritual, but he obtained it a different way by training. which is pretty traditional. So you would imagine that someone who's obtained a level of power through training should get some actual screen time or visual showcase. So I agree with that. I agree with that 100% when the fandom says, well, wow, I'm hyped for Super Saiyan God Vegeta. Logically, you would say, well, I think it's a little bit too late because, they have Blue and he has evolution. Hopefully, if we see that, I'm not sure what's going on with that. I haven't really seen people talk about, well, why is Vegeta, how come we've seen more Super Saiyan Blue Goku than actual Vegeta in the trailer.
Yep.
So what's going on with that? And we're not going to assume that there's not going to be any Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, right? We're not going to assume that.
No.
It's just they just didn't show much of it, if not anything at all. I did see base Vegeta. I saw Super Saiyan Vegeta. And that's pretty much about it for the most part.
Now, I see a few people in the chat. They're kind of wondering, what about Blue Evolution? Again, I think that this is something to where we need to take into consideration in the fact that we're going to be seeing multiple forms. Base, Super Saiyan, maybe Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, perhaps from Goku. Super Saiyan God, for sure, because we saw that in the trailer. I think the furthest they might go is possibly Super Saiyan Blue Evolution with only Vegeta. But then again, you had people asking based on the poster, hey, so Goku's hair looks, very dark, like dark blue. Perhaps maybe Goku also achieves a similar concept in breaking through his limits in achieving Super Saiyan Blue Evolution. By the end of it, you guys have to think about this realistically. If Goku achieves Ultra Instinct, it's over for Broly. Broly's not Jiren. I'm sorry to say, in my opinion, I don't think Broly is as strong as Jiren. Because think of it like this, right? In the Tournament of Power, Jiren fought everybody. Jiren fought 17, Frieza, Goku, and Vegeta at the same time and bodied all of them. I'm not saying that Broly can't do that, but what I'm saying is I don't think Broly is on that comparative level to where he can rival Jiren in power. So that's a good thing, because then there's no need for them to, completely decimate Goku to where all of a sudden he taps into Ultra Instinct. Is it possible for him to do so? Yes. Is it likely for us to see Ultra Instinct? Maybe. But is it logical? That's what I want to ask all of you, because as a community, we all have different opinions. Some people might say, yes, give us Ultra Instinct, and some people might say, no, keep that away. How do you feel about this, Emish? Do you think that it's a good concept for them to go in terms of direction, or do you think it's something that it's just lazy writing and it would just completely diminish the story? Also, like I said before, guys, if you guys want to talk to us after this on Discord, we're going to be debating this. We're going to be talking about Dragon Ball Live, so come through our Discord. This is our Discord link. So, Emish, how do you feel about the concept of UI?
To be honest, man, if it were me, I would save it for a Beerus rematch.
Beerus rematch. Only Beerus rematch.
I would,
I would like that. I would agree to that.
Or maybe like Goku versus Vegeta, and then like a be all end all with Goku versus Beerus. If not Vegeta versus Beerus as well. Goku and Vegeta versus Beerus. I don't know. I just think it should be marketed towards that finale. If we were to ever get a finale.
We might be bringing in a very special guest. We're gonna be bringing in Chris.
He's on Discord. I helped him sign
What's his Discord name? I'm gonna add him in a call with us.
It's CX Green.
Yeah, just type it in the DMs for me so I can add him in here. Chris, one of the owners of Kamehacon, is going to be with us shortly, hopefully enough. I
might have to guide him how to answer the call though. So yeah. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry,
so I think that the incentive of Ultra Instinct, I don't think it's needed. I want to see Beerus versus Goku in a rematch. I want to see those two bang it out. And I think if there was ever a time to see UI versus, in any case, it would be UI Goku versus Beerus. That's the only time where it would make sense.
I'll pay for that, then.
UI versus Broly, it's like Goku stomps. Goku stomps.
Yeah, I would pay to see Goku and a Beerus rematch, full power, maxed out, everything, dude. Like, I've been saying this since like. I've been talking to you about this since forever, man. I've been talking about it with the fans. Anybody who knows me, who has ever talked Dragon Ball with me, man, I've been saying like, dude, I need that. I need a rematch. I need that. So if they want to milk all this stuff as much as possible, sure, no problem. And if their idea is like, listen, Goku has to like go through all this crap to eventually work his way until he fights Beerus, and if he loses, I don't care. If they ended on a cliffhanger, I don't care.
Right.
I just want a rematch.
No, I completely agree with you. I completely agree. Yeah. I'm going to add Chris to the call with us. Let me see if everything is going according to plan. Can you hear me, Amish?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, you're good.
He's going to have to...
All right.
Well, he has to pick up the phone. All right, so he should be in.
Chris, are you with us, Chris?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the host. This is the owner. This is the guy for Kamehacon. Going into Kamehacon 2, I want to introduce everybody right now to Chris Bradley. Chris, welcome, man. I mean, with all this stuff coming out with Broly and whatnot, how do you feel about everything? Because this is crazy, man.
Thank you for the intro. The hype is real. It's actually two owners at Kamehacon.
Yeah.
Both of us named Chris.
Yeah.
The Chris's.
I mean, the hype train, you know, it's ever since Super started. Like, it's just gonna continuously progress. I don't see it going away anytime soon. We got the Adidas shoes coming out, that line. The more figures are coming out left and right. We got the movie.
Yeah.
Everybody's debating about a possible new series, which I don't think it's too far-fetched.
Nope. I don't think so.
And Kamehacon 2, the Dragon Ball Tour. I mean, if you're a Dragon Ball fan, it's a good time to be alive right now.
Oh, absolutely. And for those of you out there who don't know, Kamehacon 2 is going to be hosting the voice actor of Broly. Chris, do you mind sharing some information as to what can we expect from Kamehacon 2 in terms of like the connection that we're going to have with this film, especially with the film having a drop in January and Kamehacon having a debut in April?
We're constantly working ideas. We have right now, I could say, look, we're just like anyone else. You know, we're just fans. So we pretty much feed off of the fandom. And as soon as the movie was announced, the main thing that we wanted to go for was Broly. As soon as we found out that it was Broly, and having Vic Mignogna on board now currently, it's awesome. And we want to definitely for year 2 come up with new creative ideas that's spread across more interactive stuff for the fans, more panels for the fans to be interactive, not only with content creators but also the voice actors themselves. After dark panels, so 18 and over panels. Don't want to spoil everything, but
right.
over the next couple months between now and I say beginning of November, just stay tuned to Kamehakon's social media, and you're gonna catch announcements every single Friday.
It's going to be epic because we're going to be getting not only the voice actors for this current film, but also the previous ones that we saw at Kamehacon 1. I want to give a quick shout out to Bald Expert. I have no idea what currency that is. I know for a fact it's not $400, but it's 400 something. So thank you so much for that. He wrote, I think when Goku and Vegeta realize that Broly gets stronger every time he fights, they will perform the fusion dance, and the huge power gap won't allow Broly to catch up to Gogeta before he is defeated. What do you think? Chris, what do you think about this? And I'm going to pass it on to Amish. What do you think about the concept of there being a Gogeta in the film if they can't defeat him as singular warriors?
Well, my initial reaction off of the trailer, and I texted Emish this, and I'm calling it now, is I think Frieza got to a point to where he was doing experiments on the Saiyans. He wanted more control over the Saiyans. You know, he was always, his race was always high tech. They had all the cool gadgets and everything. So right. I think he started experimenting on children, and when Bardock and the mission failed and he realized, well, it's do or die, he just said screw it and vanquished all of the Saiyans as a whole. But that's where I think in the trailer where you see the Cape Saiyan and then a Saiyan with a tail go up to the Saiyan pod, I think the Cape Saiyan's Paragus, and he finds Broly.
Really?
He was out on a mission, and I think he comes back, sees planet Vegeta's destroyed, and he finds Broly and puts his hand up to the glass, and Broly puts his hand back. And then I think I think he raises him from that point. And Frieza, when I watched the trailer probably like the 5th time, I think that the one thing that he says is magnificent.
Right.
His power is amazing. Yeah. So he's like overjoyed at seeing his power versus when he fought Goku and Vegeta and he got frustrated of how strong they were. So I think that he ultimately thinks, oh wow, well my experiment worked and this is great. This is amazing. He thinks his creation's beautiful, but then I think somewhere in the mix he realizes he lost control. You don't have control over him anymore. Paragus is pissed off and ultimately turns Broly on Frieza. So I think as far as Gogeta coming into play, I think they would leave that as, you know, the last secret, the last
yeah, because you don't want to give that away. First of all, if Gogeta were to appear, the fandom would go crazy. So I agree with you. You want to keep that under wraps.
And I do think that they probably would go that route. I mean, we haven't seen it before.
Right.
We have kind of clues all over the place between Bardock being remastered, the first Broly movie, and then Janemba.
Yep.
So the only difference with Gogeta this time, it has the ability of going to blue. Yeah. And then he's not in hell.
I guess that's the only method they can go in not giving Goku UI, but then at the same time not allowing some other ass pull to come about, because if it is fusion and this fusion ends up getting the job done, then it'll make sense. And plus it'll be like the first time, I guess, it'll be quote unquote canon for Gogeta to be involved in the main continuity for the anime that ultimately I think will synchronize with the manga. So Amish, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about the concept of, you know, Gogeta and the concept of Broly having to be found?
For Gogeta, it's marketable. If you want to consider the remastered movies, right? If you want to consider those three coming out, you could actually implement all three concepts into it. Well, one, you could implement Bardock just by showing his face in the backstory of the movie, because it's a backstory. So it's like, why shouldn't he be there if he's Goku's father? We know this 100%. Two is Gogeta would be used to to finish off Broly, because Gogeta didn't even have that much screen time in his own movie, right? So he just comes in, Soul Punishes a Janemba, and that's it. All right, see you guys later. And then we have, then you have the actual Broly movie, which we're getting with Broly and Paragus, and a lot of similarities between the original Broly movie. What I want to do is actually touch up on what Chris mentioned regarding what he thinks is going to happen, because we were actually texting each other back and forth, and I wanted him to basically say whatever he wanted to say on the call, because I knew he was like, I'm on the call, so that's fine. So it's like, okay, we have two instances of where we see a baby's hand, a toddler's hand, right?
Yeah, we see a bunch of kids, man. It's crazy.
And then, but you have the big hand that's touching glass, the glass, right? So it's obviously going to be a Saiyan space pod of some kind. But the scenario, it's actually like a nighttime setting, as if like something's happening or whatever. And around that time, we also see like an explosion, so we could assume that's around the time Planet Vegeta was destroyed. Let's just theoretically say that that's the case. All right, so now you have that, and then later on in the actual trailer, we see a caped Saiyan with a very thinner Saiyan with a long tail. He seems like he's pretty young.
I still think it's Broly, man. I mean, a lot of people have thrown out,
I'm just saying that it's a adult. It's like a young teenager Saiyan. All right, he's not developed yet. So whatever the case is, and
did say that there would be more Saiyans in this movie.
Yes, they did. The most amount of Saiyans we're ever going to see.
So let's just theoretically say that, to what Chris said, maybe that's where he found Broly, or he finds Broly there. So let's just theoretically say he's teaching Broly, he's showing Broly what happened. This is where I found you. If you don't believe me about Frieza, if you don't believe me about whatever, look, this is where I found you. You were sent off from Planet Vegeta just prior to it being destroyed. And that's what kind of sets the tone towards Paragus using Broly to get back at Frieza. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he uses his anger, or he uses Broly's anger or lack of actual knowledge, and just his obvious, dominant nature in terms of how strong he is, and uses that for his own means, just generally. So I would say that. Would you say
Broly would be very naive at that point? Because I can see Paragus manipulating him.
Well, yeah, because if he's gonna trust him, because Broly doesn't know anything. He was a toddler. If that is the case, and Paragus is not Broly's biological father, generally, especially in anime settings, right? This is very common in anime settings, where whoever raised you is the person that you put your utmost trust in. It doesn't matter. You don't know that person's an evil person. You don't know what his intentions are, but you look up to him because he raised you as if he was his own, as if you were his own. So in that instance, it would kind of make sense as to why Broly is so either just bound to Paragus, but then you have to ask yourself, well, the collar on his neck is clearly going to be able to control him to some degree, because he loses the collar eventually. And then we know Paragus has a device on his waist. So it's like, it's like Chris had a good point when he said experimentation. If that was the idea, where he could develop devices to maybe control the Saiyans or whatever the case is, I just ultimately think that this story has a lot of potential to be pretty dark, and for something that's Dragon Ball at least, right? Because we've never really gotten something like this before, so it's really interesting. Really interesting.
Well, I think that with Toriyama saying that, you know, there was certain things with the previous Broly movies that he liked.
Yeah.
I think there will be certain things in the film that resonates from the previous film.
We can see that too. We can see it.
Yeah. So I think as far as like the collar and stuff, I think he will keep the fact that Paragus is able to control him, and Paragus sees his power, and he finds out how to manipulate that. But at the same time, I think that the certain things, to the certain degree, that what will be changed, instead of Broly being so much like in the original film that he was a zombie when he pretty much had
that was basically what he was in the first films.
But you see this trailer, like he's like sitting there chewing on a turkey leg or something.
Yeah, I mentioned that in my breakdown. That's like the same introduction they gave Cauliflower.
Yeah.
So I think there will be certain things that resemble that stuff, but I think he's switching it up to like, okay, well, he could be controlled, but that's just, you know, a limit collar, rather than, you know, him being a zombie and not having a conscience. Like he's savage, man, either way. And especially the fact that the majority of the trailer, you see him fighting Goku, Frieza, and Vegeta in base form. And it's like Toriyama's leading up to his vision of the legendary form to the climax of the movie. And I think that's where we could possibly see Gogeta.
Do you guys think that maybe Broly's Berserker form has any connection to the quote that Vegeta had told Goku about, watch out for Kale? That's like what a true Super Saiyan form could be. It's most interesting because, again, that all correlates together. I think that with the way they could go about this, they could reference the fact that maybe, you know, going beyond the powers of a Super Saiyan, we have what is deemed to be that of the true Super Saiyan form, which is that of you know, legendary Super Saiyan, or the Berserker form, however it is you want to reference it. I think that what they need to explain is what this is, because they never really explained as to what that was in Super. When we saw Kale in the Tournament of Power, what we did see from her was she was able to control that. So is it possible for Broly to maybe, because it's not outside the realm of possibility for Broly to do the same thing as Kale did, and that's revert and control that kind of power? Even though I don't think they're going to do that, what my question to you guys is, do you guys believe that we could get a full explanation to perhaps maybe this is what a true Super Saiyan is, and the other forms are kind of like mere stepping stones to get there? Or do you think that this is going to be something entirely different, to where only maybe a handful of Saiyans can achieve, and not likely for Goku or Vegeta to ever achieve in their lifetime? Because I saw a few people in here actually reference the idea of Goku and Vegeta getting either or one of them getting a similar form by the end of this movie. So do you guys see it to where they can explain that and connect those two? And do you see Goku and Vegeta getting one of like that form by the end of the film, if it's not going to be MUI from Goku? And by the way, guys, we're 5 likes away from hitting 500, so that's crazy. So I'm gonna kick things off with Chris. So Chris, your thoughts on the connection between Broly's form to Kale and the idea that this could be the first Super Saiyan form that Vegeta referenced? And do you believe that one of them could potentially even achieve that if going as far as to being pushed?
I think in reference, if you're putting both of them into perspective, I think Kale would so much be a step below where the new Broly is at.
Right.
I think that she is able to control it. There is, you know, kind of little nods there that, oh, this could be it. But I think where Broly's at, especially if there is in fact experimentation involved, I think he would be essentially be the perfected. Where he's at would be the perfected form, and I think he'd be able to house Kale easily. I mean, especially when he was rising out of the rocks with those red eyes.
That
like,
was insane.
You didn't see that from Kale. So and even the aura, like that's another thing when a lot of these guys are like charging up and everything like that, and his aura, like when he at the end of that trailer when he was unleashing everything, like Kale didn't have that, and when Kale charged up, it was just rage mode. Like she was just going around breaking stuff. I think he's going to have a lot more control with it, and I think he'll be fully aware of what he's doing, The only reason that there's a collar there is so he doesn't do it too much. So I think he would be like the perfected form. Like he would be stronger than Kale.
Far more, I think. I think far more. Quick shout-outs to Shy for the $5 donation, and JD. Shy says, my question is, do you guys think Broly's going to die in the film or can be continued in the Dragon Ball Super series? And JD said it got disconnected. Don't know if you guys talked about this or not, but what do you guys think about the idea of Broly killing Jiren's parents? Okay, so before we get into those two questions, Emish, how do you feel about the whole concept of Broly's, form being the true form? And do you think that it's possible for either Goku and Vegeta to obtain that in this film?
All right, so like originally, before Super was birthed, we had the idea, we were under the impression that a Super Saiyan would emerge like once every 1,000 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And like they kind of yeah. So they kind of used that concept in the recent manga chapter that's coming out to explain Kale's form. Now, my only issue with the experimentation thing, even though it's possible, I think it's possible. I think it's also quote unquote likely by Dragon Ball Super standards. The only thing I don't like about the experimentation thing is that because that means that Broly or Universe 7 had to get this via experimentation, despite Broly having quote-unquote mastered it.
Yeah.
But you have someone who was based on Broly being introduced into the series, although she's not a part of the same universe Broly resides in.
Yeah.
She did it without having to rely on any kind of experimentation whatsoever, and she's a part of the main storyline, and that's Kale. So if Kale was introduced into the series to give people or pay homage to pay homage to the movie iteration of Broly's, right, for the first movie and the Second Coming, and then you bring in Broly and say, well, yeah, we did this via experimentation, and that's how we got this. Well, like I said, it's even though Kale's a different universe, it's just like, well, you brought this character in that's based off of Broly, but now you're saying that it was an experimentation, and then we have a character who did it naturally just by getting pissed off. Because originally you gave Caulifla the tingly feeling. And Kale did it the proper way that fans kind of, related to in terms of Universe 7. But the only problem was that Kale was a really bad character in general as far as the anime is concerned. Now, touching up on the whole legend aspect, originally we were told that, okay, well, Saiyans, they birth like once every millennia or 1,000 years, whatever, fine. And that Vegeta's understanding, because when they show the picture of like Goku potentially being a Super Saiyan, they show that monstrosity of a figure. Yeah, so that's that. I would say that closely resembles to anything that Broly could ever become, not in terms of actual physical size, but he's a monster. This guy's a monster. So with that, I would say that coming into Dragon Ball Super, then we got the legend of Yamoshi, and then we find that in the anime he became a Super Saiyan generally. Like he was the Super Saiyan. So now it's like, okay, well, maybe it's because if Yamoshi and his people rebelled against the bad Saiyans, and all that and Yamoshi did not survive, nor did his Saiyan comrades survive. Because I did a video explaining when I explained Yamoshi, I kind of regret deleting it now, but yeah, I explained it, and what I said was this, essentially. I'll summarize it for you. If the original legend of the Super Saiyan was Yamoshi, and he was a righteous-hearted Saiyan, and he and his comrades are dead. They did not survive. But Vegeta's father, they had migrated to another planet, took that planet, called it Planet Vegeta, and their understanding of the legendary Super Saiyan was a monstrosity of a tyrant, like Broly, for example. It would only make sense as to why they believe that's what the legend of the legendary Super Saiyan is. It's based on anger and just raw power, as to where Yamoshi was the original Super Saiyan who obtained it even though he had a righteous heart. But the way the legend was depicted, at least in the English dub, for example, because I grew up on that, so I can only relate to that, was his own power consumed him and consumed everything with him, and the planet was taken. That's what was mentioned in the English dub. I don't remember word for word for the sub, so I can't tell you. But then we have in the recent manga chapter where Kayla is essentially getting so strong she's gonna blow herself up. She's gonna die. Because they're using what we originally knew to be the legend of a legendary Super Saiyan back in Dragon Ball Z, and they're giving it to Universe 6's they're giving it to Universe 6's Kale in the recent manga chapter. When the chapter comes out soon, in a few days, you guys will see what I'm talking about.
2 days.
So that's interesting. I like what they're doing with the manga, but I also, that's why I'm just not a fan of the whole experimentation thing. I just think that this version of whatever Broly has is what Vegeta and his people grew up to understand what a Super Saiyan ought to be, even though we got confirmation by Akira that Yamoshi's version of the Super Saiyan, for the most part, he was the OG. You know what I'm saying? And then something else birthed as a result of them being blinded by rage or having no control of their power and getting so powerful that they just essentially turn into Broly, and that's what Vegeta grew up understanding. So we have 2 iterations, which is interesting. So
now I also want to reference a few things. Number one, guys, Cumber is non-canon to the Dragon Ball Super series. I see a lot of people talking about, what about Cumber? What about Cumber? What about Shallot? Shallot and Cumber are not directly tied in with the manga and anime adaptation. So those 2 concepts are just completely disregarded. I also want to talk about the concept of, because a few people asked about, you know, is it possible for us to see deaths? For example, someone being killed off, aside from the enemy, of course. I'm not sure how you guys feel about this, but I feel as if what needs to allow this film to be dark in nature is someone to perish. Not maybe permanently, but to where it sets up something even greater than what we imagine. For example, a lot of us may feel like, okay, well, you know, it's not likely for someone to die, like, you know, Piccolo or Frieza or whatever. But a lot of people in the comments from what I've been reading were suggesting the idea of perhaps Broly killing Frieza or Broly killing somebody. Do you guys feel like perhaps we're gonna see a death happen from somebody at some given point, or do you think that it's not likely for us to see anybody die, but more or less just see a brutal fight to where the heroes win in the end and we move on to something else? What do you guys think? I'm gonna start with Emish on this one.
As far as deaths, I mean, deaths in Dragon Ball generally, they're pretty impactful because, for example, like one of the most memorable deaths for me personally, were when Gohan didn't finish off Cell, for example.
Yeah.
And Goku just said, he just looked back at everybody. He said, "Yo, take care." Yo, that shit made me like, because I was small, I was a kid, so I was like, "Oh my God, no." I was looking at my screen like, "Don't do it." And then he's like looking at his son. He's like, "Take care of your mom." And the way he looked back at everybody, he just looked so freaking badass.
He knew. Goku knew.
Yeah, man. And it really hit me. I was like, oh. And then you have Gohan screaming, "Daddy!" And I was just like, no, this dude Goku, bruh. So, and then it's even though they were eventually brought back, like even though we have the Dragon Balls and now Whis can revive people, so who really cares anymore? For example, I'll give you another example. When people thought Master Roshi was going to die in the Tournament of Power, yo, we were going crazy. Not we were mad, but we were like,
he used the Mafuda one too many times, and that could have killed him. But from what I'm seeing, a lot of people are saying that with Broly's brutality, somebody needs to die. And the person that needs to die, that would kind of make the most sense from what I'm understanding here, is everyone for some reason wants to see Frieza die. Everyone's like, it's Frieza's fault. He's the one that did this. He's the one that destroyed the planet Vegeta.
It's a fitting scenario.
Given the order by Beerus, he should be the one to die by Broly's hands. What do you think about that?
It's a fitting scenario because it's like,
really?
well, I mean, well, no, I don't say that because I want Frieza dead, so don't, it's not that. And I don't say that because it's like, well, Emish, he just got his army back, so why would they kill him off? I'm not saying it in that sense. What I'm saying is that it's time for him to pay his dues.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so like the franchise of Dragon Ball. It's so like the franchise of Dragon Ball to say, well, okay, Frieza, you got X amount of time alive, well, send your ass back to hell. That's the comedic part of Dragon Ball. That's what makes it so funny. It's like where Frieza's like, haha, subarashi. I'm back.
They brought him back. I don't see him perishing, man.
But as far as people dying,
I see Broly perishing. I don't see Broly making out of this movie, bro.
Yeah. Honest, he has to die. I don't want him to. That man is too strong. The way I think everybody here agrees in this conversation, as far as us three, that guy is being portrayed to be way too strong. Goku's looking at him like, yo, I gotta kill this motherfucker. Like,
no, of
excuse
course.
my language.
But also, I think that again, what's interesting about Broly is the fact that I still don't agree that he might be Jiren level. But Chris, how do you feel about the concept of someone dying? Perhaps maybe Frieza dying by the hands of Broly, given the history behind that and the reasoning why he would be killed off in the first place, especially with him having to be the guy that destroyed Planet Vegeta.
Well, I think that going off of the trailer, for one, they showed, they could have showed the front, but they showed the back for a particular reason. And the last shot of that trailer, they showed it and they zoomed in. They showed that he had a tail for a reason. So I think that would potentially it might just might.
That would be I see where you're getting at. That would be the craziest, because we haven't seen Ozaru's in Super yet. So just imagine, oh my god, dude, a Berserker Ozaru.
I think Paragus. If I was to put a body count, I think Paragus would die.
He's died.
Yeah.
I think Frieza he would die. And the only reason why I say that he would die, even though he just got brought back, is because we still have to catch up to the end of Z, where Goku meets Oob at the tournament. And it was referenced before Super ended. And if they're unless they rewrite it, but if we're to do that and get there, there is no Frieza.
That would be crazy, man. If you guys agree with Chris, if you guys want to see that kind of a concept slap alike, because I honestly agree with you. I think that his tail perhaps is wrapped around his waist. But my counter question to you is, do you think that it's possible for, you know, similar to how we remember going back to the Saiyan saga when we saw the moon be created by Vegeta, do you think that something similar could happen to Broly, to where it is possible for us to see something like that, to where Broly transforms even further into Ozaru, and then we can have ourselves a fight between an Ozaru Broly and, you know, Super Saiyan Blue Goku?
Wasn't it dark at the end of the trailer, though? But besides
it was
the obvious
dark,
power.
But at the very end, right before that blast kind of took over Goku, I just showed it on screen, there was a slight pause to where Goku got in position and he started lighting up in like these blue colors. Again, not insinuating anything of anything specific, but we see him lighting up. So it was dark, but even when he was fighting Frieza, it was dark too. You know?
Well, then again, it's like when every time Broly ever powered up, like this dude changes the atmosphere.
Yeah, he does. He does.
So, every time, he just purple, green, blue, black, like everything just changes whenever he powers up. So I don't know.
Let me go back here to Bald Expert. Thank you so much for the $200. I don't know if that's pesos or
I think it's
I think
rupees.
Paragus is targeting Vegeta in this movie, like they did in the original Dragon Ball movie, because Vegeta and Paragus landed on Earth, and even in the trailer, Broly first attacked Vegeta and ignored Goku, and then he followed up by saying, you forgot to read my last super chat. Okay, so the concept of them reversing that and giving Broly hatred for Vegeta. Also, shout outs to Kendall for the $5 donation and saying might be the best Dragon Ball story ever told since the Cell Saga. It has the potential to be dark and great. Broly might even already be better than Jiren, who was rushed. And then Alpha Nerd followed up by saying, still think we will see Universe 6 Saiyans. Lots to talk about here. So, first question, do you guys believe that they're going to reverse the story to where if it was King Vegeta that kind of exiled Broly, that they're going to try to get their revenge on Vegeta, since obviously they look the same, and your thoughts on them kind of switching that around? Would you agree with that concept or not? And just to follow up on that, I'm going to go ahead and start off with Chris.
I'll counter too to earlier.
Okay.
I don't think Broly's going to die.
Okay.
I don't think Broly's going to die. I think I think he's going to have, like I said before, more common sense. I think he's going to realize, and especially with Goku and the way he is, that he's been manipulated.
Yep.
But I don't think he's going to hang around. I think he's going to be more of a loner. I don't think he's going to hang around and chill with Goku and them. He'll probably go do off his own thing, but I don't think he'll get killed off unless it's going in that direction.
Right.
But as far as him targeting Vegeta, I totally, especially with him charging at Vegeta first.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Vegeta and Goku, and you know they could sense ki. So unless he's sensing, if we get SS Blue Evolution in this film, and he senses that from Vegeta, then he could go off of that for ki. But if he's strictly going off of because of the bloodline and you know the royalty aspect for Vegeta, then yeah, I completely could go off of that. I completely believe that Paragus would drill in his head like Frieza's bad, Vegeta's bad, I'm the only one you could trust. And he'll point out that's Vegeta. I don't know who that other guy is, but go after him. And then that's when he sends off Broly to go do his thing. So I think that you know, he'll be manipulated. You know, like we touched on earlier. He was picked up as a young kid. He was very naive. He trusted everything that Paragus ever tells him, and
just for him to get played in the end.
However, Paragus manipulates him. He's going to go off of that.
Amish, how do you feel about that concept with what Chris just had to say with Broly having to target Vegeta, because there's more of an incentive behind that than him targeting Goku.
Well, I think we can agree that him targeting Goku for making him cry as a baby was stupid.
That was very dumb, yeah. That was one of the reasons why people hated Broly to begin with.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you look at it objectively, it's like, well, that automatically makes the story better and more sensible.
Yeah.
It shows you that somebody is actually behind the scripting, behind this piece, right? That, okay, well, why would he hate Goku for what? What did Goku do to him? Oh, wait a minute.
Right.
Vegeta is the son of this guy.
Who stabbed me in the chest. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Who got rid of me,
Who left me for dead and fed me the dogs.
Mind you,
know,
I don't mean to cut you off, but it just brought me back now. In movie 8, when Paragus first came to King Vegeta to talk to him about his son, when King Vegeta said, "You're nothing to me, you're gonna perish with him," and they shot him out in the distance. Keep in mind, that was Paragus before the scar. If you look in this film, he has the exact scar, and he got that scar after he confronted King Vegeta, before King Vegeta had stabbed his son. You see the connection there?
He got the scar from Broly.
He got punched in the eye by Broly. No, in the movie he gets punched in the eye because
did he get it from King Vegeta?
Yeah, because no, Paragus was trying. No, King Vegeta.
I remember now. I think it was he swiped his hand or he did something to hit Paragus.
He key blasts him away, like out of the fucking room. He just flies out the room and shit. But with Paragus, Broly was going on a rampage, destroying everything, like planets and shit like
and
that.
Tried to stop him. I remember now.
And Paragus was like, "Hey, son, you can't do that. Bad Broly." And he's like, "What?" Clocks him in the eye, and just dude's eye just falls out. So that's
is
what
that kind of similar then in the concept to where maybe that's what Broly did to him? That's why he needed to restrain him, because he knew that this guy was just too much. By the way, guys, we're almost at 600 likes, so let's get there together. If you guys are hyped for this film.
The thing is, let's just say that, you know, where we see the thin Saiyan, younger Saiyan, looking at the space pod, that's Paragus telling, you know, showing him, yo, this is where I found you. This is what's going on. Look, blah, 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 blah. This is what happened. This is your story. Because Broly doesn't really know much. All he knows is that Paragus raised him. Whatever, fine. I mean, the thing is, it's like, well, in the first movie, it's that Broly was fairly young and he was already demolishing everything.
Yeah.
And in that scene, Broly seems not 100% developed in terms of like an adult, but he seems old enough to like, he's like maybe 14, 15, 16, 17-ish. So it's like, well, okay, at what time frame did Broly discover he has this latent power? And what time frame did we discover, or did he discover, or did Paragus discover that, yo, this guy has a lot of potential? That's the thing that's kind of like, well, where was it? Where did Broly actually get this strong? Because it doesn't seem like he was always this powerful. And if that were the case, I mean, you can tell that, he has the blue Saiyan armor, the blue, you know, the blue tights with the white and yellow boots. We have the first art concept of Broly with torn up blue pants and yellow boots.
Same concept, but just torn up, no shirt. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and he's fully grown. He's like more or less fully grown.
Yeah.
So
I really think they could give his character more depth. You know, it's a long shot, but if they did, the way we find out that the way he finds out that and Paragus that he actually has this power is that as Paragus is telling him the history and what happened, and you know,
he gets
Frieza,
mad and just goes crazy and powers up.
Yeah, like kind of has like a history of Trunks moment. Like all these people died. My people died, and then he just rages out and goes crazy, and Paragus stands back and like, I don't even know what to do right now. I can't even get this guy. Yeah. So I think that they would definitely give him more depth if he just sits there and just like despises any Saiyan that just left them behind, and Frieza for manipulating them for all those years and killing the people.
You know what's interesting about this discussion is that when I think I've realized collectively, I don't know if you guys have, is that they don't really have to do much to Broly directly to fix what story he's a part of, if you really think about it. Because, I mean, we're mainly talking about Paragus. We're mainly talking about the connection to Frieza. We're mainly talking about the backstory of Planet Vegeta. And Broly just so happens to be a part of it, a major part of it, because he's the main opposition. So there really isn't much to fix. It's just like, well, like someone said in the chat, what if Broly just gets sicked on Vegeta because Paragus told him so? Because he's the son of King Vegeta. It's these simple
that would
things.
be the only thing that would be a complete flip flop from the first movie, because the first movie
it would be you're switching up the entire formula around you. Instead of giving him Goku, you're giving him Vegeta. But then a lot of people also are begging the question, because Dragon Ball Super is known for building up Goku and Vegeta, but weirdly enough, we also had Piccolo shown a couple weeks back. So a general question to everybody watching, and of course you guys, are where do you see the involvement of perhaps Gohan, 17, and other characters aside from just Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza? Because I can understand why certain people are like, oh, enough,
I agree with you.
give us something more. Like, where do you guys stand on other characters? 17, Gohan, maybe the Universe 6 Saiyans, everyone else being involved. If not 17, fine. Incorporating Goten, Trunks, Gohan, KO, Kaba, Caulifla. Like, do you guys think we're going to see them? Or is it just going to be Broly, Vegeta, Goku, and Frieza?
Dude, I mean, let's wrap this up quick. I mean, I'll wrap this question, in my opinion. 17's on vacation, dude. That guy is done.
He's on his boat,
Listen, I will see you guys next Tournament of Power. That's it. Gohan. Listen, save him for the series, in my opinion. I think he should, working, chilling with Pan, maybe training, hopefully, but I think we should save him for the series if we get one.
Agreed.
Piccolo, I mean, he's dog food. Yeah, he's babysitting. And Goten and Trunks, I mean, we didn't even get them in the tournament. I don't see why they would be. I mean, I don't see why we should get them. Not why we would, but why we should get them here, outside of comedic purposes, outside of them having a party. Like, if you guys remember, in the original Broly movie, everybody was getting tipsy.
Yeah, Trunks peed on him, remember that?
Yeah. So it's that's the second coming. Yeah, but in the first one, it was like everybody was having a party, everybody was hanging out. There was no Goten Trunks, but there was like Krillin was, karaoke, Master Roshi was getting tipsy. Everybody was just having a good time at a picnic, and all of a sudden, the Saiyan spaceship just flies out of nowhere. So that's interesting, but I think generally we're not gonna get much from them.
He's too powerful for them to be in this movie. Yeah. He's way too powerful for Goten and Trunks to be going after him. But I would say it would be a shame for Kale, Caulifla, and Kaba for them not to be in there, especially leaving off Super that Vegeta was gonna go to Kaba's planet and see his people and experience his planet. So I think it would be a shame not to have them involved in some way, shape, or form, because then it's like, what if there isn't a series after that? Then you just left the biggest cliffhanger ever if they're not involved in some way.
Well, let me ask you a question, Chris. Sure. So let's say, considering what you just said, right? I mean, we would have to be relying on the idea that there's no series. I mean, and the information that we have now, for the most part, points us in the direction of saying, well, much like Battle of Gods, let's see how much response it gets, and then we'll give you a series, right? I mean, and the way they ended everything off, all the information that we've been getting over the course of the past since Super ended, everything leads us to the direction of saying we'll see you guys back again. The actual episode itself says, "Yeah, I'll be back for sure."
Yeah, of course.
It's like it's written there. Essentially, it's just a matter of when we're gonna get it, when is it gonna be announced, so on and so forth. So let's just assume. I mean, would you be willing to say, well, we have to see Universe 6? Would that make the movie any less good than it originally might be already, based on what we know so far, based on what we're theorizing so far? You know what I'm saying? It's like, why risk adding more content when we should be focusing on the main things? And the main things, in my opinion, right now are Universe 7, the Saiyans of Universe 7. What started this all? Dragon Ball Z, everything in between, has always been about. The spotlight has almost always been put on Saiyans, whether it's Goku, whether it's Vegeta. Gohan got some spotlight. He was a hybrid. We got some Trunks, Goku Black. Zamasu wanted to possess a Saiyan's body. Even GT, Baby wanted, for example, even GT, Baby wanted everything. The Saiyans have always been such a major selling point, and selling point for both market revenue and from the fan base, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, would we want to add Universe 6, who has no actual depth yet, who we could save an arc for Vegeta to go to Universe 6? We could save that for a series potentially. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's the thing. Like if we were, let's say, the movie, you got the final fight scene, Goku, Vegeta win, they're all celebrating, and then you have that clip at the end where Vegeta is like kind of like with Super, when the Tournament of Power ended, the music was rolling, you saw everybody gathering together, Bulma hugging Vegeta, all that stuff. So kind of the same concept, this movie ends, you see Vegeta go meet up with Kaba, and it may not be the interaction that we want, but they throw
But it
that
sets
in there.
the tone. Oh yeah, definitely.
Right.
With that concept, I totally agree.
Say, oh, see you again.
Yeah, no. With that, I agree. Because I just don't. I'm not fond of the idea of just adding in or giving Universe 6 a spotlight and a story that's mainly about Universe 7
I agree with
because
that.
we know Universe 6 they develop differently, not
but
completely
then
different
again, to
Universe
give
7.
them more depth as well, I guess they can always include them because instead of them having to fight each other, now they're working together. And I want to answer JD's question really fast about how he suggested how maybe he thought Broly had killed off Jiren's parents. I don't think so at all. That seems kind of like too much because you have to also consider Broly having to travel through other universes, just to do that, and what would be the motive for him to do that in the first place? So I don't see Broly killing off Jiren's parents at all. I don't think that has any connection at all. I've seen a few people talk about it. Oh man, what if it was Broly? I don't think so at all. Would it make sense from Broly's character perspective because he's such a a wild card? Yeah, but I don't see Broly being the guy to do that anyway because Broly just seems to me like he wouldn't be that guy to be pushed as far as not only to go to a different universe but to kill somebody's friends and family and trainer and whatnot. And I don't think so at all. Wow, shout out to the Bald Expert for the $1,000 pesos, I think it is. I have no idea what currency that is, but he
rupees.
Whatever that is, man. He wrote, I feel that this is the same Broly from the OG Broly movie, but since it's in the canon timeline, Broly did not arrive during the Cell Saga because he wasn't canon back then. Tori just put him in now. No wonder why Paragus has gray hair, like as if he got older. Well, Paragus is older. It's not like he achieved UI or whatever, so he is older, but in terms of Broly having to be the original Broly, it's just they kept him away instead of introducing him during the Cell arc. They introduce him now. I don't think that has any ties in at all. I think that perhaps the concept behind this Broly had been to where maybe he'd been asleep, maybe he'd been frozen, maybe he'd been doing something else. But I don't think that they've been planning to introduce him at this point. I think that the entire agenda must be completely different. I'm not sure how you guys feel about Broly's character, perhaps because a lot of people are going to ask the question, where was he? Was he sleeping? Was he away? What was he doing? So my question to the both of you are, what do you think Broly was doing up until this very point? Was he conquering? Was he fighting? Or was he sleeping? Like, what do you think drove him to come here? And where was he this entire time?
You got it, Chris. Go ahead.
I got two directions you could go with that. One, it kind of ties into Jiren question too.
Okay.
I think. Well, let me start with the easiest one. The easiest one is what Broly's doing, whatever Paragus wants him to. That's the easiest thing. Whatever Paragus' motive is, whether it's finding Vegeta, finding Frieza, or just continuing doing the jobs that he was doing, conquering stuff, then yeah, I think that's one alternative. The other alternative, I think, is Broly, again, when you first see him looking out the spaceship eating, he looks like a savage. He looks like he don't care, and he has not a care in the world. And I think that if they gave his character death, that he would have such a hatred for everybody and everything. Like, I don't have my people anymore. Why should you have yours? So I think he just went from planet to planet, wherever he wanted to go, or him and Paragus, kind of worked it out together, and he just killed whatever came his way. Right. And then the possibility of Jiren tying into that, if he was to go universe to universe, I don't think that's too far-fetched. If he was to kill Jiren's trainer and his people and everything, his people's already dead. Like, what do I got to lose? It's kind of that motive. What do I got to lose? And he didn't know Jiren at that time. Jiren was just a boy.
Yeah.
So when Jiren went to go fight him, like, Jiren even said that he was overpowered. He couldn't do anything against him.
Oh man, would that be a mind-blowing twist?
Yeah, and he'll fight him again. Yeah. Jiren even said that. They threw that in there. He will fight him again. So it would be a real good tie-in if Broly didn't die in this film, And he was the one that, in fact, just went from universe to universe, not caring, just killing everything. And Jiren was involved in that, and Broly didn't die, and he's like, oh, well, I was manipulated the whole time. Screw you guys. And he goes off, does his own thing, and Jiren finds out where he's at. And if they were to do another series, that'd be pretty cool if they picked it up right there.
Amish, what are your thoughts on this before we wrap this up? Because that's a pretty sick way of going into things, especially with the concept of Broly doing that subconsciously without even knowing, or maybe he did it consciously, but then that ultimately can open up the doors for something more if Broly ends up surviving.
All right, so I think we all agree here that, well, one is market value, right?
Yeah,
Broly is a very marketable name. So outside of that, let's look at the story. Well,
Broly
why
got sold out in 5
He
minutes.
also learns how to fight very well, according to Vegeta in the trailer.
Well, he's a Saiyan. He's a Saiyan.
Yeah.
That's what it is, right? So no problem. Khalifa did the same thing, right? So it's like whatever. But the thing is why? And I'm not saying this in a sense where it's like I don't want the movie. I'm excited for it. I'm happy that it's Broly. I'm excited. I was skeptical at first, but I'm excited. But why does Broly's story and everything about him, why does it suddenly fit into the story now? Outside of market value. That's the thing. Like, we got to look at it like, well, why now? Essentially, where are we going with this, and how exactly are they gonna? Yeah. How exactly are they gonna say? Well, yeah, this is what happened. Broly's been asleep. Like, what are we gonna say? Broly was sleeping like Beerus this entire time? Because for Beerus, it made sense because he was asleep, even though they kind of switched the whole Elder Kai Z sword thing. You know what I'm saying? We find out later that Beerus apparently sealed them. All this other stuff, like in certain iterations. So it's like, and another thing is that if Broly and all these other people were awake and they were running around destroying planets, well, the Supreme Kai not too long ago said that there was like, what, 27 planets left in Universe 7?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's 27 planets. Like, only 27. I don't know if there was 27 left or there was roughly 27 in the universe. I don't remember the exact statement. So that's another thing to consider. And then we know that actual, Kid Buu, for example, Frieza and the Saiyans were running around pillaging planets left and right. So how does this story all of a sudden fit into everything that happened? Will we get that explanation, or are they just going to market Broly because people know, for example, people know that, okay, if you're going to give us Broly, we just want Broly to make sense. We just want him to have a better character. So if the goal is to give Broly's character development, or to give him character development, then it still kind of leaves unanswered questions in terms of the plot for the storyline. So why now, and how does this suddenly make sense? Beerus was asleep, fine, but what's the case with Broly at this point? I can't tell you that. I don't know. It's not a question.
I'm very excited for this movie. I'm sure a lot of people are. A lot of people are divided based on like what they saw. Some people are going to say, oh, it's trash because it's just Broly. Other people are going to say it's good because they're having like a different direction with the character itself. But let us know how you guys feel in the comment section below. I want to thank you all so much for joining us. I want to thank both Chris Bradley from Kamehacon and my good friend Amish Live for joining me as well. You guys can find their links. I'm going to go ahead and link them in the description for the Kamehacon website and their Twitter, alongside Amish's YouTube channel and Twitter down below. If you guys don't follow me on Twitter, you guys can follow me on Twitter. I'm going to leave the link right here in the comment section. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. I want to thank everybody out there for joining the Discord server. If you guys want to join, everything's going to be located down below. Again, I think this movie is going to be phenomenal in its approach. I just think that people need to give it a chance, and based on this trailer, I think that it has me hyped, and I think there's a lot to come, especially with the series itself, depending on how they execute the movie itself, but I think there's a lot more to come. So any last words from you gentlemen before we head out?
I will see you guys at Kamehacon 2. I'm excited. The hype is real. No, but honestly, like, give the movie a chance. I think ultimately, as a fandom, we can agree and disagree in our opinions, and that's what makes the community so great. Ultimately, I want to watch this movie in December. I want to watch it in January, and I want to talk to you guys about it in April. So, I'll see you guys, man. Excited.
Chris, any final words before we go, man?
Thank you both for having me. Anybody that does come out to Kamehacon, it'll be a great time next year. All of us getting together, plenty of fun events going on. Great voice actors going to be there, great vendors. And as far as the movie, I mean, I wish it was tomorrow. Like, I wish I could watch this right now. So I think anybody that truly loves the franchise as a whole, you'll definitely give the movie a chance. you'll definitely want to see the direction that it's going, because I truly believe that Toei and Funimation have big plans for the franchise from here on out. So
I agree. I mean, there's a lot to expect, guys, so I hope you guys tune back in for more. If you guys have not subscribed already, hit that subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll check you guys